Hello everyone, I'm Robert Hisee. Most of you will know me, but for you that don't, I'm the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist. And welcome to the MindKite Podcast. We're here today at the MindKite Podcast with the boxing sensation and legend, the man himself, Mr. Johnny Nelson. Thanks for coming down today, John. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
I really appreciate it, bruv. So, the podcast that we've been working on is to do with modelling of the mind, you know? And I spoke to you previously and loved your story. So that's why I wanted you here today. So I just want to go through the journey of your career sort of thing. So we can then look back at the end of the podcast on the models of greatness. So I'm only having people who have been at the elite level. So I'm looking at what they all do the same. So it might be like a world leading comedian, boxer, racing car driver, whatever it is. So first question I want to ask you is, where did it all start for you? Whereabouts did it all start?
I've told this story 1,000 times, and the one thing that it never changes, because again, you can always remember the truth, you can never remember a lie.
Yeah.
And I fell into this sport, didn't want to box, went to the gym just to make friends. The downside of going to the gym was having to box. And that was it.
That was it, yeah.
The
downside to going to the gym.
The downside of going to the gym was having to box. That's how much I never wanted to box. I didn't go to a boxing club thinking I want to be Muhammad Ali or whatever. I thought, I don't want to fight. I was great at causing trouble. Could never back it up. It was just, as I've grown older, you look at a lot of things that happen in your life and then you realise what's written for you and what isn't written for you. Now, I never in a million years wanted to do the things I'd done in boxing, even though it might have been some school kid's dream. But for me, it wasn't my dream. It wasn't my destiny. And I think it was part of my journey, but not my destiny, because now I can remember winning a world title. And I can remember being stood in the ring thinking, is that it? So I knew that was part of my path in life, and it just developed from there. There's a lot of that had gone on in between that. It's very testing of the heart, testing of the conscience, testing of the cojones.
Yeah.
It's a character building or breaking, and when I look back on that, and once I became champion, I knew I had to go through all of that to stay champion, because people think the battles become world champion. It isn't. The real battles when you are champion and you've got to stay champion.
Keep it moving.
But you don't know these things until you get older.
That's so interesting, because I was working with Anna Rankin yesterday and talking about mindset and everything, and she said the same. I said the same thing to her when she won her first world title, the first Scottish woman to become world champion. The next fight was a bit too soon, I said, in my opinion, because you didn't have time to develop what's your next goal, because that's all you're focusing on, that world title. When you get there, I speak to Jamie O'Hara, a Premiership player. He said his career when he got to Tottenham. So I visualised playing for Tottenham all my life, but when I got there, all of a sudden I started getting injuries. I started going out with models and doing all this stuff, and it's like living in the moment, and you forget I should have been visualising now playing for England.
Well, maybe. You see, I think I'd boxed for the world title twice before that.
Yeah.
Before I won it, and looking back on it, I knew if I'd have won it the first time, I'd have lost it my first or second defence. Probably my first defence, because I wasn't mature enough to deal with the responsibility of being a champion, and I didn't realise there was a responsibility of being a champion until after I'd lost the first one. And then when it came to the second one, I still wasn't over the backlash of the first fight. I was still a boy in a man's body.
Yeah.
So by the time it came to the third one, I was angry at myself for letting so many opportunities, life-changing opportunities, not just for me, but for my mum, my sister, my brothers, what could have changed their life. And I represented them. I represented Brendan. I represented his 40, 50 years in Sheffield. So now I was angry at myself. And so I'd look at my career and I'd think of all the things I did and think to myself, you have got no excuse not to be a world champion. You've got no excuse to not understand the responsibility that comes with it. So I knew when I won it, I would never lose it in the ring. And that it sounds really arrogant, it sounds really big-headed, and I even talk to kids now or go to businesses and I say to people, excuse my French, own your shit. And I don't just mean the bad stuff, own your shit, own who you are.
It ain't arrogance if you believe it, it's arrogance if you're just chatting.
But that's what I'm saying. So a lot of people are uncomfortable saying that I can do that because they're worried how they're perceived. You got to feel comfortable in that. Yeah. And so, I can do that. I'm not being a bigot, I can do that.
Do it, yeah.
And so once I became world champion, I knew that day when I stood in the ring before I did the interview with Adam Smith, bang, was it Adam or Ian? The microphone in my face. I knew that I would never lose it in the ring. I knew
you've got the world record still, haven't you? For is it 16?
13 defences.
13 defences in the WBO.
Yeah.
Sick.
And remember, I only had 13 amateur fights.
13?
And I won 3. So I had 13 amateur fights.
Really?
I won 3. I was proper shit. And people told me that to my face. They didn't say it behind my back like you'd be doing, saying, oh, I couldn't do any shit. They'd actually say, you just shit you. I'm like, all right.
To your face?
Yeah, man, that's how they did it. Proper to your face.
I remember you said something about when you first started, you was 14 and Brendan never let you fight till you was what?
17.
17.
I was that bad.
Really, John?
Yeah, I was that bad. There was guys, I've always been built like a baby giraffe. Tall, nothing on me. And there's guys like, they were 5'5", 5'4", terrorizing me in the gym, in the ring. And at 14 years old I started, I was in the gym for 3 years before I had an amateur fight. That's how bad I was. Yeah. And it was just like, but when I lost, it didn't mean as much to me as it did to everybody else.
You didn't care.
I didn't understand the importance of it. I was there for my mates. And even though they were knocking people out for fun and they were good fighters, I was just happy to be in the crowd.
Just to be in there, to be amongst it.
Yeah, that was it.
The vibe of it.
Nothing else I wanted. I didn't, to me.
How did it go from the amateur then? How did you, I mean, I know Brendan is a big part of your life and Brendan Ingles and, you know, he's like the English custom motto, if you like, for the books that I've liked to read, and yeah, I mean, how did he get you from being this kid that didn't care about fuck all really, about just being there for a bit?
He conned me.
He what?
He conned me.
He conned you?
Yeah, because it's great to be able to look back at these things and think, I understand now. You don't understand them at the time.
A bit like a Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah. So he conned me. And I can remember Naz saying to him once, we were all in the gym, a talented bunch in the gym. Naz said to him, Brendan, you're brainwashing us. Because he's preaching again and everything. Brendan, you're brainwashing us. And Brendan just smiled. He said, yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm positively brainwashing you. And so there's no argument now. You're like, okay. So with me, I'd boxed the amateurs, lost, lost, won, lost, won. And so my last amateur fight I won. So I'd had 12 fights and I'd only won 2. So he said, I'm going to turn you pro if you win your next fight, because you'll be better suited to professionals. And plus I thought, I'll get paid for it. So in the amateurs, the last thing I got was, so usually when you win or lose, you get a cup. Win or loser's cup or trophy. I got a torch and a quilted blanket. That's what I got for winning. And my mum's got one on her bed, these quilted blankets. I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I might as well get paid for it. So even then, I thought to myself, I'll have 5 professional fights. If I don't win one, I'm done. I'll go and get a proper job. Lost the first one, I didn't care. Lost the second one, I didn't care. Lost the third one, I didn't care. Won the 4th, I thought, bastard, start again. So I'll start again. So in my head, I was doing it in 5-fight chunks. Even when I was British champion, I was doing it in 5-fight chunks. So I had no desire to make that.
Picture,
no bigger picture at all.
Wow.
And I didn't want it, or the seed of me wanting it didn't actually start growing until I actually boxed for the world title in Sheffield. And it was the aftermath. And that made me want it, because it didn't want me. The public, well, I saw that horrible side to human nature, where people were just horrible. And I mean, I'm not a pussy, but I was a proper pussy. I was like, people are saying stuff, and I was like, it proper broke my heart, and I couldn't believe human nature could be so fickle, cruel.
And this is for your first world
My
title?
first water for I boxed for WBC title in Sheffield against Carlos de Leon from Puerto Rico.
Was that a draw, that one? Or did it last? It was a draw?
A draw, got a draw for it.
Right,
so I didn't even lose. I got a draw, but the fight was crap. Because we both, and I didn't realise at the time, he's thinking, this kid's like, he's too hot for me. I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking, this guy can punch, I ain't getting hit by him. I can remember looking at his record and looking at everything he'd done, and he was like #1 in the world for quite a while. And all the time I thought I was hustling my way through my career. I'd won the British title. Yeah. I didn't think I was good, I thought they were crap. I won the European title, I didn't think they were good. So everything I won...
You didn't think you was good?
I didn't think I was good, I thought the opposition wasn't good.
Yeah.
So instead of giving myself credit and confidence, I'm thinking I ain't very good, that's why I won that. And then when it came to fighting him, I bubbled before I got in the ring because I thought, this guy is good. This guy, it's on paper, he's good. He's done everything. So I went in there thinking, I'm getting exposed tonight. Even now, if I watch that fight, and I look at that Johnny walking into the ring, and I know what's in his head. I know what he's thinking.
You can hear it, yeah.
I know what's in his head. And he's looking around
Crazy,
saying,
John.
be cool, be cool, be cool. Shit, you're going to get found out here. I knew. I'm looking at him thinking, I want to reach in the TV screen and slap him in the face. Yeah. and it was hard. It was hard, but hindsight's a great thing. And I think I learned a hell of a lot. And I think going through that then made me the person I am today. It's not changed my attitude to people. I'm still easygoing with people, laid back and everything. But I would never be surprised by human nature. And so when people act in a certain way, I think, well, that's your nature. I ain't gonna dislike you for it. I'll just not put myself in that situation. The analogy is, you see a crocodile. If you put your hand in his mouth, he's gonna bite your hand off. You can't be pissed off at the crocodile because that's what he does. That's his nature. So therefore, with people, if their nature isn't nice, don't be peed off at them. Just think,
swerve them, yeah.
You know what?
Move away from that negative.
And smile and nod.
So I'd love to know a bit more about Brendan. I remember there's a story you told me once before. I'd love to get down when you won the British title, and then I thought you finished. You said Brendan done something.
Yeah.
To prove
So
to you.
Brendan,
this is amazing.
An amazing guy, and I used to struggle to talk about Brendan, but now I loved like telling people what it was like. And so Brendan, I'd boxed for the British title, and so I'd got to the British title. He was happy that all of a sudden I could see my potential, and I boxed on the undercard of Nigel Benn against Michael Watson at Finsbury Park for the British title against Andy Strawn. I beat Andy Strawn. We're tight arse Yorkshiremen, so we all went down on the minibus. The minibus dropped us off in town, and then my car was in town. I drove my car back to Winkerman to drop Brendan off. I've got this Lonsdale belt, and Brendan, he said, "Don't drop me here, drive further up the road." I'm thinking it's like 3:30 in the morning, so it's pitch black. And no, 2:30 it was, pitch black. We drove past his house up to the graveyard. At the top, it's a good 2 miles away from his house. So the only way he's getting, so he made me pull up outside the graveyard. He said, "Right, drop me here."
What was going through your head at that point?
And I'm like thinking, "Ben, what are you doing?" And he said, "Johnny, if you've done it and conquered one of your fears, I'm going to conquer my fear." I said, what are you doing, Bren? He said, "I'll walk home from here. I'm going to go through there." And you could see the gates. It was like a vampire movie. You could see the gates.
Thunder and lightning.
And it was just pitch black. So you could see the odd gravestone popping up. It was just pitch black. I'm like, "Bren, no, not tonight, Bren. Come on, Bren." I'm thinking, one, something might happen to him. Number two, Alma, his wife, will kill me for dropping him off. There. So I'm like, Bren, no. So he's walking. No, it's all right. So I thought, I better go with him. But then I thought, if I get out, I've got to come back by myself through the graveyard. So I'm like, I'm stood at those shit. So I'm stood there, Bren, come. It's all right. Disappeared, gone.
Fuck, you know.
And I'm sat there, I'm like, shit, what do I do? It's like 2 in the morning. He's just disappeared into the darkness. And I thought, damn. Anyway, I went home because I thought I ain't going to chase after him. So I got home. I'd won the British title. So
But
I'm
now
not,
you're
I'm
not
not,
enjoying
I'm
the
not thinking
moment.
about, I'm not thinking about what I'd just done. I'm thinking about,
What's he up to?
was he gone?
Is he okay?
So as soon as I woke up, so usually if you ask any kids if they win something, that night they can't sleep because they think it's a dream. You sleep with a belt.
Yeah.
You know, you think it's a dream. So that night, I couldn't sleep because I thought, where's he gone? What's happened to Brendan? Oh, Jesus, Emma's going to kill me. If anything's happened to him. First thing in the morning, Brendan picked the phone, I rang him. Brendan picked the phone up. Brendan, you all right? He went, yeah, I'm all right. I went, Brendan, I've not been able to sleep. And he started laughing. He said, listen, you did marvellous. He said, if you can do it, you've conquered one of your fears. I've conquered one of mine. He said, and that's just the beginning.
Brilliant.
And I'm like, and I thought, this guy taught me in such an unorthodox way. And it wasn't just about boxing. It was about mindset. It was about attitude. It was about self-preservation, self-motivation. And so it wasn't, there are no more real coaches, real trainers these days, because some kid will go to university and get a few letters after his name in fitness and health or whatever, and dietitian, you know. But Brendan was a psychologist, a motivator, a mentor, brilliant trainer, strategist, a very intelligent guy. So and these are his words, so don't be offended by it. He wanted to give people the impression he was a thick paddy. That was he said. He said in Sheffield, on the pubs when he first came to Sheffield, he says, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. He said, we were below the dogs. He said, so if you think you had it bad, but if you talk to him, you go in his house, he's got a wall of books about religion, philosophy, war, kings and queens, and he would challenge you on anything. You talk to him, he'd blow you out of the water. But then when he'd come out, he'd be dressed like, and he wouldn't ask him. He'd be going like he didn't know anything. I can remember after that De Leon fight, for weeks after, I was getting abused verbally and by the written word, and we'd go for walks, and he kept telling me about stuff about Sonny Liston, Floyd Patterson, Jack Johnson. And I'm thinking, why are you telling me this? What about me?
What sort of stories were they?
He basically, his finished line was, same story, different actors. So they all went through adversity. And he'd tell each individual story of Jack Johnson, or Floyd Patterson, or Sonny Liston.
And he showed you the similarities between the same model.
And so, he showed how they were, how they fell from grace, how they had to fight back from grace. The ones that didn't fight back from grace, back to grace, like Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston ended up being found dead in a room in 5th of January 1971. Wow. Found dead. Pumped with drugs, drink. They don't know if he was taken out by the mob, but his world spiraled out of control after he lost to Ali, because he was the original Mike Tyson. If you think Mike Tyson's bad now, he was the original bad man. And so Brendan he would tell me so many stories about these people.
And the other one, I just noticed you said then, Jack Johnson. I love Jack Johnson's story. Yeah. He was the first black man to be allowed to fight a white man, and the first black man to become heavyweight champion of the world. Is that right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
And the mafia made him lay down, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. And listen, he got to a point where he did everything. So like Ali, this I'll make them very similar. Like Ali, he was around at a time where there was a lot of change in the world. So Ali refused to go into Vietnam. Yeah. He became Muslim. Yeah. Now, all the things that white America were totally against. Jack Johnson, a big black American, he's got two white girlfriends, not just one, 2 white girlfriends on either arm. Yeah, he's dressed like a pimp, white hat, big one light coat, and he's got his big flash car, and he's speeding up and down. And so when he got stopped at one side and the cop stopped him to find him, he said, look, I'm going to give you his $50 fine. I'm going to give you 100 because I'll be speeding back again. You know what I mean? This guy did things at that time. Yeah. What would get him killed? He got to the point where he had to leave America because they were after him for tax evasion, which wasn't the case. And he ended up coming to England. He was a bullfighter in Spain.
Really?
Yeah, you look at his background story. This guy travelled the world for quite a while because he couldn't go back to America. And this was Jack Johnson, and people don't know. So Brendan will tell you the backstory of these fighters. So the stuff that we see on TV.
Wow, I never knew that.
The stuff you see on TV about a fighter, that's just the end product. It's the journey up to getting up those stairs into the ring, which is most important. That sets precedent to what happens in there. And and so when he's telling me this, I'm thinking, Brendan, why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me this? He's telling me this to make me understand. I think it's the end of my world because I've seen how horrible people can be. So, no, you ain't seen nothing. And these people came back from that. A great psychologist, great motivator, and he did it in such a smart way.
He didn't even know he was doing.
I had no idea he was doing it. I had no idea at all. And he actually knew how to handle me. He spoke Harold Graham. Harold Graham, that was in our gym. He was unbelievable middleweight. You had to speak to Harold in a different way. You had to speak to Prince Nassim Hamid in a different way. He knew how to adapt to every individual one of us. What I rated about him was the fact that there were so many of us in the gym, so many different identities, so many different characters. And so he'd not just deal with me and my issues, what I've got at home with my family. He'd do the same with Errol, Naz, Brian, Mick, everybody. And I'm thinking, and he was married with 5 kids.
And he could handle that.
And I'm thinking, and I always said to him, Brendan, I will never do what you've done. And he said, why? I said, because when I first met you, you had a full head of black hair. Then it went grey, then it went bald. So unless I can commit like you committed, I know that I'm cheating whoever I'm with. And that was it. And so I think I learnt so much from him. And it wasn't until I'm 53 now. And I just think, little things fall out of my mouth. I think, shit, Brendan would have said that.
Yeah, it still comes back to you.
Yeah.
That's mad, because he reminds me of like the story when you tell me the story about Brendan. Reminds me of like Mike Tyson's custom motto early days. You know, like Harry. He said he kept telling Tyson that you're world champion, you're great, and he said I was thinking of me, like I'm not good. And it's
what I thought.
Very similar story.
Prince Nassim Hamid. Brendan said Naz was 7 years old when he came to the gym. Brendan said to Naz, "You will make £40 million in boxing." Back then. 40 million, he said. I'm like, so Naz like, oh yeah, how's that then? Somebody's thinking, Brendan, you're mad. He said, well, look at where you're from, Yemeni. Look at the population. If everybody from around the world paid £1 to watch you, how much money do you think you'd make? He said, at least £40 million. Brendan's family thought, Naz's family thought Brendan was mad. Naz is now worth 70 million. That's
crazy.
And he's been retired forever and a day.
Yeah.
And Brendan thinks Naz thought Naz underachieved because he said Naz could win the world titles at 5 different weights. And I tell you now, I used to see that kid in the gym and the stuff he did, I believed Brendan. But Brendan was a visionary. He just had it figured out. With me, the amount of people that told him to kick me out of the gym, he's no good, he doesn't want it. And Brendan said, no.
See it.
Yeah, stick it out.
That's amazing. So when you say like the visionary in Brendan, that's a very important thing that I love talking about is the visualization process. I mean, when was it for you, John, when you got the vision? When did you actually, because you said like, you was going through, you felt unconfident, you thought the other guys were shit, and you thought you were shit, the other guy was shit, that's why you won sort of thing.
Brendan played the long game with me. And I can remember this day so well. He said, I want you to start doing weights. Why? But because I was like a boy in a man's body.
Yeah.
I want you to get your man strength. And
whereabouts was you in your career here, John? Right.
I was still rubbish.
No, whereabouts though?
I just turned professional. Okay. And Harold Graham and Brandon Anderson, they were the middleweights. Harold Graham, unbelievable fight, Brandon. They were men. They used to hammer me. And Brendan said, I want you to start doing the weights, but listen to me. He said, those two are going to tell you to stop doing the weights. They're going to say you're going to end up like Frank Bruno and it'll make you stiff and slow. He said, when they tell you that, you keep in mind, that means you're giving them problems. I said, what do you mean? He said, because that means you're getting stronger and they can't bully you as much. They can't throw you about as much. So all of a sudden, you doing weights is going to be an issue. He said, I just want you to get stronger. True to form, start doing the weights. I'd go across the road, do the weights twice a week. I start to feel my man strength start to come on. And I walked in the gym once, it was quite like this, and Brian Anderson and Harold Graham were sat there. We sit down to get changed side of the ring. And Harold said, where have you been? I said, I've just been across the road doing a few weights. And they looked at each other, so they clearly had a conversation. He went, you don't want to be doing that, you know. I went, why?
That's exactly what he said.
Why? He said, it'll make you stiff. You'd be like Frank Bruno, just big and stiff. I'm like, Brendan said this. But I kept cool. I went, oh, well, I'll have a go, you know. I couldn't wait for Brendan to come in. I'm thinking, Brendan, you're right. And so anyway, Brendan came in, we were training. He's tied my laces, the gloves at the side of the ring. I said, Brendan, remember what you told me that Brian and Errol had said? He said, yeah. I said, he just said it. He went, marvellous. You're giving them hell. And I thought, how did you know that, man? And then I think the penny dropped with me, and when I really believed in Brendan's vision, his tale for me, his path for me, was when, and at the time I didn't get it until this particular day. He sent me, I was abroad for like 6-7 years, France, Germany, most time in Germany, East Germany, horrible, man. And so you go as a sparring partner. If you go as a sparring partner, if I employ you as my sparring partner, my job is to beat you up and sharpen my tools for my fight. I don't care about you.
Yeah, yeah.
So so I'm you. I'm sparring with all these guys that have done everything as amateurs and professionals. I'm sparring with world champions. So I'm just there so they can sharpen the tools upon me. But I'm not going to there for them to hit me, but I've got to try my hardest so they get better and sharpen up. They pick someone that's just below them so they can get sharper with their positioning and everything. So I was doing for 6 to 7 years. And but this place in Germany, what would happen is they'd fly you out to Berlin. A car would pick you up in Berlin and drive you about 2 or 3 hours to Frankfurt Oder, which is on the border of Poland, East Germany. This is just after the wall had come down. Wow. There's nothing there. They're still driving them out in these little yellow Trabant cars. No Matadellers, no nothing. And so I'm a sparring partner and I'm staying in a dirty little horrible bedsit, no TV, you know, the radio, you've got to try and find the army radio. It's horrible. And I'm there for 3 months at a time. And so what they do is, they give you your ticket to get there, and you couldn't, if I wanted to leave early, I had to find my way back to Berlin. When I got to Berlin, to the airport, I had to buy a fresh ticket because it was a set date. And so they had you were trapped. The amount of Americans I saw over there get battered, and you got paid when you were going home. So the amount of Americans I see get battered, and every night they'd be in the bar just drinking, just trying to drink away the dread. And every day you go in the gym, it's like going in for a fight every day. So mentally, it's a proper mind screw. Yeah. Mentally, you're scared. And so you'd walk in, there's all these people are here. If I'm here to spar with you, these are all your boys.
They're all your pals, yeah.
Yeah. So it's me walking in for you to beat me up and you to beat me. Because what happened is they're all training. So when I get in there and I do 4 rounds with you, you'd get out, you'd get in. You'd get in.
Straight through.
Proper piece of meat. So I can remember being put down once in sparring. I said, that'll never happen again. And Brendan said to me, look, Johnny, he said, this will make you decide if you want it or not. He knew, about character, how much you want it. Because if you don't want it, you'll come home. But remember, when you come home, it will affect every aspect of your life. Work, socially, relationships,
back
family.
To them stories
because
in your mind
it'll be there in your head. Yeah. And you know what you walked away from. And then forever you'll be thinking, if only I'd have done this. So at times when I was there, I'm thinking, I want to go home. I ain't doing it. And he said, when you walk in that ring, walk in with a big smile. You have the bounce on you. He said, go on the bags. He said, but never let them beat you up. And if you can beat them up, don't ever beat them up. I'm like, what?
What's that mean? Yeah.
What do you mean? So basically, because if you beat them up and an opponent pulls out one day and they need an opponent,
They won't call on you.
They won't call you. But if they think they can beat you up, then they'll think soft touch. And so when we spar, you know, if I knew I could get a shot in, I'd just touch it in. I'm thinking, I could get that. And they'd be throwing shots, and I'd ride the shots, dig the shots, hold the shots. And they think, so if you can control a man without him being known he's being controlled, that's maximum control. Yeah. That's not just physical, that's mental. You've got him.
That's power.
Because he has no idea. And I knew there was only one guy ever got me. And he got me for one day. And that was Alex Blanchard. He was European champion. They flew me out to Amsterdam. And we were sparring. And every day, Alex can't get me. He's getting frustrated, shouting, talking his language to his trainer. I'd phone Brendan up, give him the rundown of what's happened that day. And Brendan would say to me, Johnny, listen to me. He said, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. So Alex Blanchard, now he's got to get me another way. So he starts, because what would happen is you get there, nobody would talk to you. You'd walk in the gym, all right, you'd train, and you'd go. Alex, this day, said, come on, let's go for something to eat. I'm thinking, yeah, man. Because, like, nobody's talking to me. It's all right. So we went out. He had a big M-Series BMW. I'm young. It's the first time I've been away. We're driving it. He's got the music playing. Now I know he was conning me. Music playing in the car. He said, yeah, he's pointing that out. Let's go for something to eat. I sat down, went for something to eat. Asked me about my career. He didn't give a shit. He said, listen, I want to help you. He said, I want you to be able to slip the shots. You'll be a good fighter. Listen to what I'm saying. If you just slip the shots by an inch, no running, just slip. And so I'm like, yeah. So he's got my confidence. I'm believing in him. He said, if you do that, you'll be like me. I went, all right. Anyway, next day, he got in the gym, and he like, yeah, I'm all right. So I stood there, ding, ding, round one, bam, boom,
out.
I'm on the floor. I thought, bastard.
He done me. Stitched you right up.
He should have waited a bit, because he never kept doing it again. Because when he did, I thought, I was laid on the floor, and I was angry at myself. I thought, bastard, idiot. And I got up, staggered around, shook me in a bit. Boom, off we carried on sparring. This time I'm moving. He knows I ain't going to get that. He ain't going to get the second time. That night I phoned Brendan. I told him what had happened. He said, well, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. He said, why did you let me hit you? I told you what to do. He said, you're an idiot. So he had no pity for me. He said himself right. Yeah. So anyway, now when I'm sparring with all the best, Axel Schultz will box, George Foreman for the world title, Henry Mass, former world champion, Fabrice Tiltov, again world champion. All these guys represent their country in the Olympics, won gold medals and everything. I'm sparring with these people who are the best, the creme de la creme. I've had 13 amateur fights, I've only won 3. I'm in there, and these guys aren't beating me up. I'm holding my own. I'm not going to say I beat them up. I'm holding my own. So to me, now I'm thinking, hold on, Johnny. As time's gone, I'm thinking, these guys aren't beating you up. And these guys have done everything in the amateurs and the professional. Maybe you're not that bad.
Gone up a caliber, yeah.
And so, and then I ended up going to Lyon in France and sparring with Fabrice Tiltov. He was world light heavyweight champion. I boxed Virgil Hill, I think it was. And I'm beating him up to the point where I'm trying to pull the shot, but I couldn't. He'd like double impact. So I'm looking at his trainer as if to say, he's your boy, I'm not fighting. And the trainer kept sending him at me. So when someone's rushing you, trying to hit him off, they're only going to double the impact anyway. I'm like, what can I do here? So this guy's getting battered. And day after day. And I liked Fabrice, he was a nice guy. And this one day, again, remember, I'd not done anything. I'd not got any title. I'd not got the world title. Everybody thought I was shit in England. I had no bottle or anything. Anyway, we came out of the gym like this, walked out of the gym, walked across the road. I don't walked outside, it was banging down with rain outside. I was waiting at the doorway for the rain to stop. There was a white stretch limo outside and a beautiful mixed race girl. She had a little white poodle and she's stroking it in the back. I've been there months, man. Look at this girl thinking, all right. So anyway, I smiled at her. She smiled. And anyway, the rain stopped, so I went to run across the road. As I went to run across the road, Fabrice shouts, yo, Johnny! I turn around. He's getting in the car. He sees Mrs. in this stretch limousine. I'll see you tomorrow. And I stopped in the middle of the road. The rain came back again. He's driving off. I'm thinking, excuse my French, what the fuck is wrong with his picture here? I've just battered him.
And he's got in the car with
And he's got in a car, stretched
beautiful
limousine, and I'm going to this dirty little bedsit, and I've got nothing. And I'm like, stood there, I'm thinking, what is the difference between him and me? The difference is he can perform in public. So as far as I was concerned, I had to think to myself, when you do what you're doing in the gym, you've just got to think to yourself, don't care who's watching you, don't try and impress anybody, don't be conscious of what anybody thinks of you. Get in there and get the job done. That was the best thing that could have happened. Now when I bump into all those guys I used to spar with, they all say we shouldn't have let you in our gym.
And was that the day you said, that's it?
That's it. That was my day. That was my eureka moment. I thought, that's me done. You people never get me again. And I knew then the penny had dropped.
And you never lost again from that
Never
day?
lost again.
Sick.
That was me done.
What
I
a
thought,
story.
I understood. The mind is it's so delicate. It can be your biggest supporter or your
enemy.
worst enemy.
Well, I was back to that Cus D'Amato. I remember seeing a documentary on Mike Tyson and with Cus, and he was fighting some boxer. I can't remember who it was, and Cus said to him, "It's good his jab's weak. He's got a weak jab." And Tyson was going, "What are you talking about? He's got the best jab in the industry." He went, "He's got a great." He went, "That's what makes it weak." He was so predictable, and that's when he used to start teaching to come underneath the jab. So he'd reframe to go towards it.
Yeah.
And most trainers would go, "Watch your jab, slip." You know what I mean?
Because what we do is we conform to what we think is the norm. If I say you're a brilliant fighter, and I tell him you're a brilliant fighter, and people believe me because I'm world champion,
yeah.
then he tells him, then he tells him, then he tells
right,
her,
that's
then
true,
he tells
that's so
everybody.
true, yeah.
All of a sudden, you've not had one fight.
People don't-
You're walking down the street saying you're a brilliant fighter. That kid can fight.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
And this is how you twist people
so
up.
True. Reframing, isn't it?
And it's about you don't have to conform to what you think is the norm. If you watch a fight on TV, just turn the volume down. I bet you see a completely different fight than when you turn it up.
With the
So
commentator
what I'm saying
going,
is, you use your eyes, you use your head, you use your common sense. Don't ever be fooled by any of this stuff. What's going on around you? Don't be fooled by the bright lights. Don't be fooled by the so-called professionals telling you what's happening.
Yeah, work with
Don't be
yourself.
fooled by, yes, he's got a brilliant jab. It's the best jab in the world. Is it? Why? Because you said so.
Yeah, that's true. That's
It's
so
only the best jab in the world if you make it the best jab in the world. And so if you start to think outside the box, the things you can achieve are mad. And that's why I said to people, look, if I can leave school with no qualifications, I had the handwriting of a 10-year-old, the reading ability of a 13-year-old, I had 13 amateur fights, I won 3. If I can retire
world
as
champion.
as an unbeaten world champion, I'm not retired as a champion that lost. I'd retired as the champion. If I can do that, what can you do? If you had a better head start than me, anything's possible. And that's why I know that, and I totally believe the power of the mind got me where I am today.
1,000,000%. I'll say this about any elite athlete, anyone in the elite business world. It always comes down to the mindset, you know, that little 1% of you. It's just that when that vision clicks in and they can see it clearly is when they start to get that pulling feeling, that pulling emotion to go towards.
When I see guys that were in the gym same time as me, and they drifted off, and then they bump into me again, they have become world champion, I'm this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
They went, how did you do it? How did you do that? You were crap. And I loved that.
Yeah.
I went, yeah. How did you do it? I said,
once.
I just listened. The first guy that beat me,
Because you always say everyone needs a Brendan, don't you? That's one of your things you always say.
the first guy that beat me, a guy called Peter Brown. Peter Brown, my first professional fight, he beat me, and then years later I became champion. So me and my boys, my friends I knock about with now is the same guys I knock about with from day dot. So me and my boys, we thought we'd go to this nightclub in Hull.
Yep.
And when we went down to this nightclub in Hull, and remember all these things I've learned because I listened to Brendan, watched how he spoke to people, watched how he had people eating out the palm of his hand by just speaking common sense and fact, not lying. Because I knew both sides of the fence. So now how I talk to people, how I tell people something, I know how it's done. I know what he does. I've got to make you see the whole picture. I've got to let you see the lights, the lampposts, the smell. I've got to make you see what I'm talking about. So this Peter Brown, he's on the door of a nightclub. Me and my mates, we went there. We went to queue up in the club. The bouncer went, come to the front. Oh, nice. Result, because it's pouring down with rain. So we all walked round to the front. Must have been about 6, 7 of us. And he said, come in. I went, all right then. So we went in, and as I got there, there was about 4 of them on the door, bouncing on the door, big units. He said, Johnny, you all right? Shook his hand. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. He said, tell these lot, did me and you box? I said, yeah. What happened? I said, you beat me. He said, I told you. He's bigging himself up to these boys. He said, so all the time when I'd been on TV and done what I'd done, he's trying to say to these guys, they're not believing him. Yeah. You know, I said, yeah, beat me good, fair and square. He did a proper job on me. Brilliant. I couldn't touch him. And this Peter's like bigging his chest up, as he said, and his boys are like, damn it. And I said, yeah, good fighter you were, good fighter. Oh, yeah. Anyway, go inside, mate. And we went inside. They sat us in the VIP area, and a few free drinks and everything. And my mate sat next to me, and he said, what did you do that for? I said, what? He said, why did you let him big himself up on you? You know he was taking a piss. I said, no, you got it wrong, man. Listen to me. I said, because what will have happened is he'd have been bragging and boasting to all his mates that he beat me. And I've turned up and I've clarified that. And one of his mates are going to be pissed off thinking, smart ass. Yeah, and they're going to say to him, if you were that good, how come you're stood out here and he's in there? Yeah. I said, and that is something he won't be able to sleep through. So right. It's not down to me to diss him and make him feel bad.
And that goes back to the same story that Brendan was trying to teach you all along, all them years ago, going through that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So therefore, so he's got to now think about himself, and that will happen. And so either gone back at that and thinking, damn it, if only. The only reason why I've done what I've done is because I listened. Yeah. You look at African chiefs and everything, they stand back, they'll watch, they'll see how things are done, see how things happen, see how things transpire. They'll watch, they'll look, they'll study, and then act. And with Brendan, I was fortunate enough to have Brendan Ingles. And everybody needs a Brendan.
I love that saying.
Everybody needs a Brendan. And that's why it doesn't have to be a coach. It can be your mother, your brother, your sister, your father, your mate, a stranger, someone that's paid to it. Everybody needs a Brendan.
Yeah, you need someone to just help your thoughts, help you move forward.
To take that, what's doing that, to come out of that and translate it back to you. That's what Brendan does. And even if it's not in there, you need someone to put something in there to make you think, to make you debate, to make you assess and appreciate, ask questions, make you disagree. He always said to me, he said, the problem is, Johnny, he said, my job is to train you, to coach you, to make you a better fighter. But what'll happen is eventually you're going to ask me questions and you're going to disagree, you're going to resent what I'm saying. Then you're going to think you can do it yourself. He said, and you've got to remember why the difference between me and you is, you'd look at people and think, how many people's mindset can you set to train, change, or make strong, or make positive? And once you understand what it is, you can never write it down on a piece of paper. You can never explain to people. It's like becoming world champion. I know how to become world champion. I know how to be the best at something. If you ask me what it is, I can't tell you. I can show you, but I can't tell you. I don't know what words to use for it. And so that big mountain to get there, to get to the top, you think it's the biggest mountain in the world. The biggest mountain is staying on that tightrope at the top. And that's the hardest battle.
The hardest thing.
So I know what formula, what ingredients you need to be a world champion. And so I know that because I've been there, I've seen it. I've seen it with Brendan, and Brendan with his family, one of 13 boys in his family, could all fight for fun. Everybody in Dublin, Ringsend, they knew the Ingles, these lot could fight. You know, they could fight, and Brendan, he learnt from his experience to change from being an attacking fighter to being a boxing technician. And he managed to produce champions. He said, if you produce one champion, people will say it's luck. Produce 2, maybe it's a bit more luck. Yeah. When you produce 5 world champions in one gym,
it's madness.
6 Commonwealth, 8 British, I think it's 7 European
That's
in
class.
one gym.
That's pure class.
So something's going right.
Yeah, he's got a method. He's got.
Yeah,
his-
so the establishment at the time, the amount of stick he got, and they all said, you don't want to go in that gym, it's this, that, and the other. We used to body spar. We wouldn't open spar, we'd body spar, only hit to the body. We'd work 3 times as hard as if we were open sparring.
Yeah.
Nobody walked out punch drunk, punch here, cauliflower here. And everybody else around the UK said they're doing it wrong. You don't want to train there. They don't box right. The only time we'd open spar is probably 2 or 3 times before a fight. But technically, we were still, bam, we dropped a shot in. We knew where the shots were going, because when you're body sparring, you don't want to hit the elbows, the arms, or whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't want to hit somebody accidentally on purpose on the chin. He wants you to be able to be precise with your shots. And so the establishment gave him so much stick and said to people, you do not want to go to that gym, it's no good. But then you look at what he produced.
Yeah, you look at the.
My dad said to me, don't train at Brendan Ingles. And I said, why? He's a con man. That's what my dad said. And then when I went first,
Is it true when someone went into Brendan's gym, a new fighter, he goes stand, and wherever they stood, he sort of worked off in neurology? Is that sort of true? So he wouldn't try, like some trainers, they'll try teaching all their fighters to hold their hands up the same way.
No, Brendan wanted you to fight your character.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at fighters from our gym, from Harold Bombergrain to Naz to Ryan Rose to me, nobody's got the same style.
No one, not one either. No.
But we've got the same philosophy: hit and not be hit, be unorthodox, not awkward, unorthodox. Don't do things, because if I'm training to fight somebody, you can train to fight someone that does everything right, straight jab, straight right hand, might dip. When you've got someone that'll box you and bang, hit with a backhand, twist, spin out, drop a uppercut in, how can you prepare for something like that? And so when you fight something like that that's got belief in what he's doing, you'll never beat him.
Yeah.
And that's what Brendan wanted. And he was like proper genius.
So what's in the future for you now, John? What you got lined up for your future? What's your new visions now? What's your new visions now?
Well, I did say to Brendan I'd never open a gym, and only because I saw how much time it took in his life and commitment, and unless I could give that kind of commitment, I wouldn't do it, and I probably still wouldn't do the same as what he did.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're somebody like an artist or a poet or someone that's really intelligent passes away, or Brendan passes away, I thought to myself, and this was then he passed away, I thought, what happens to all that knowledge? What's up there? All that what he's got there, all that, it's just buried, it's gone with him. But then when he was on this earth,
He passed it on to so many people.
He passed it on, passed a bit onto you, passed a bit onto you, passed a bit onto you. He passed a lot onto me.
Yeah.
So for me to not do anything to what he
Give
passed
that
on
to
to me,
others. Yeah, it's like a gift now, isn't it?
yeah, so now I know I can motivate fighters. I know what it takes to turn a zero into a hero. I'll not be like Brendan where he had, because Brendan loved his fighters.
Yeah.
And I'll not be like Brendan where he had like so many people that it affected his, well, it didn't really affect his personal life, but because he had a wife that could stand for the 3-card trick, he'd say.
Yeah.
She knew boxing was his heart, so he'd always be in the gym or home. So I thought, I'll have 1 or 2 fighters. I'm going to train 1 or 2 fighters. Looking for somewhere to buy, a gym to buy. I'm going to train 1 or 2 fighters, and that's it. That means that way, I'm comfortable with the amount of commitment I'm giving the fighters, and I'm passing on the knowledge that Brendan's given me. Because the amount of fighters now, and I mean high-profile fighters now, that ask me for advice.
Have you got a vision now to see that, to sort of bring on a champion?
Yeah, without a doubt.
In your head now?
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's going round and round.
Yeah, because, and it's time and time again, and it gets
How long has that been there for? Has it been creeping up over?
Well, for years, people, they messaged me saying, would you train me?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't do that. I just don't do it. And then over recent years, I'm looking at fighters and high-profile fighters are asking me stuff. I'm thinking, that's like, you should know that.
You should know basic, yeah.
Yeah, you should know that. And then I think about Brendan, I'm thinking, there's only certain things I can take away from what Brendan gave me. I'm thinking, this guy taught you. He used to say I was his success story. And at the time I get right embarrassed because the other guys in the gym are be like big brothers, jealous little bastards. So they give me shit. So Now I understand. I understand what you're saying. So I understand that. I listened to Brendan. And I saw both sides of every tale. So fighters that left the gym and made stories about why they left, I knew both sides. And so they can't tell me those lies. They can tell you those lies because you don't know the full story.
That's right, yeah.
But your people like your Nazers, your people like your Harold Grahams, they can tell you what you want. I know both sides of the story. So I think I'm fortunate enough to be in a position to have learned and to understand that I was very privileged to see so much talent come through the gym, so much talent developed and how it was developed and the philosophy behind it and how to deal with it. And so I thought, nah, that's going to waste. It's time to give it back. You know, I can do it. I talk to a lot of kids in schools, businesses, a lot of things like that, but it doesn't scratch that itch. And I come in a gym and I just like, it's the most comfortable place in the world. And so I understand this is what it is.
Love that. Love it. It was a beautiful thing, John. Thank you very much for today.
You're welcome.
It was amazing.
Have we done another 15 hours? I'm sorry, man.
I love it. I love it. I could talk to you all day long. I could just go and go with you, John. I mean, that was just amazing. I could listen to you all day. And I think you're definitely doing the right thing by passing that knowledge on. You know, I know you've had everyone hearing or listening to it. And yeah, so thank you also to Churchill's Boxing Gym here in Lambeth for letting us have the legend himself here with us today. So thank you very much. And stay tuned and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you, Johnny, again. Thank you, brother.
That's
thank
what
you, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you.